This is the Building Automation Monthly Podcast with Phil Zito, episode 140. Hey folks, Phil Zito here, and welcome to episode 140. And in this episode, I'm going to be doing a recap on the first year of business for Building Automation Monthly. And this is going to be important to you because this is less about what Building Automation Monthly has done over the past year, and it's more about how you can apply the things I've learned doing quote unquote business for a year. And what I've noticed is that these things, whether you own a business, whether you're in sales, whether you're a tech, whether you're in management, an engineer, a consultant, an owner, an operator, these things are going to be useful to you no matter what. And, as I was thinking back to kind of how am I going to do this episode, I thought, man, what would I have liked to know when I had started all this? Because you see, a lot of us are going through a lot of different changes right now. I know several of you listening to this are trying to get into the field of building automation. Some of you are trying to just better understand building automation. Some of you aren't even in building automation at all. I've got several of you who listen to us every week, and you're in IT and you're in a completely different industry, but you're just trying to figure out how to grow. I mean, things are so fluid these days and things are changing. So without further ado, let's dive in kind of to the highlights of the first year of business. And then let's talk through kind of some of the numbers that we've seen and what could we have done differently, what I'm going to be doing to invest in myself, and what's in store for year two. So the first highlight, the thing that I've really realized that was able to help us grow the most was to nurture your existing customers. So for those of you who are technicians, you're in service roles, you're in sales, those of you who even operate a building, you need to spend time getting to know and nurture your existing customers. Now, some of you may be like, I operate a building and you're telling me to nurture my existing customers? What does that even mean? Well, think about it. If you're really honest with yourself, I bet you that the majority of your problems probably come from a very small number of your tenants. You've probably got a lot of tenants who don't complain, who are just fine, and then you've got a couple that are causing most of your issues. And if you think about your employees that operate your building and maintain your building, you've probably got a majority of your employees that aren't an issue at all, and then the rest are the ones who either through laziness or improper training or whatever are causing issues. By focusing and nurturing these folks, helping them grow, helping understand what they need, you can see massive results. I've seen this in our existing customers. A lot of our courses, the reason we've had the growth we've had is listening to what our customers need. We've built in, and this will be something that I talk about a little bit later, we built in feedback loops to really capture information, to understand really what's resonating, what's not resonating, and what is kind of the barriers that are keeping folks from advancing. And then we've went and made adjustments. So as an owner operator, you can understand what barriers are causing your tenants to have issues. As a salesperson, you can understand, oh my gosh, this is right here. As a salesperson or a technician, these are two things throughout my career that I've seen folks. There's this old saying, why go and buy milk when you've got the cow at home? I don't know if that's necessarily the most politically correct statement anymore, but it's a true statement in that you've got these salespeople and these technicians who have these customers who are going to be your greatest source of revenue, profit, and they're there. You already have them as customers, yet you see technicians being pulled off jobs, being pulled off existing customers to go take care of new jobs that you don't have any customer loyalty. And in the beginning of my business, I was guilty of that, chasing after everything that moved. But since, having this kind of epiphany about 3 months in to running the business, realizing that you can't just chase everything that moves. Focus on your existing customers, what they need, continuously go and get their feedback and make things better for them. And they'll reward you, with either them bringing through referrals, new customers, or them growing their business. But in order to grow your business, in order to, as a technician, get more change orders, get more service work as a salesperson, to, get retrofit work, to just grow that account, you need to really think through your value ladder. And this is something that I wish I had done very early in my business. And it's something I see a lot of business owners missing. I've been to several conferences talking to owners of system integration outfits and contractors, and they seem to be really missing the value ladder. The value ladder is an incredible concept. You have an entry level at which you meet your customer. For some of you, that may be plan and spec work. That may be a service call because their existing contractor is not able to get to them. And this is your first engagement with that customer. For us, our entry level into our business is our Building Automation Systems A to Z course. And from there, from that course, through both the discussion that's built into the course, as well as just the email sequence, we're able to kind of understand where folks are at based on what they click on, where they go, what they watch. And then we're able to move them into other aspects of our value ladder, into our other courses that will benefit them. As a selling professional, or as a technician, or as an owner of a contracting business or a system integration business, you really need to think through this. You are in the most perfect time to go and create a very effective high margin value ladder. And what I mean by this is, talking with folks, they know that analytics, or they know that some form of greater service through remote operations or some sort of predictive maintenance would bring value to their customers, but they're not quite sure how to implement that. They also know that bringing standards to their customers. I can tell you that some of our recent consulting engagements were brought about because contractors did not provide standards to their customers, even though their customers were asking them. I mean, that just boggles my mind that a customer would ask a contractor to write a building automation standard for them, and then the contractor would not do that. I mean, that is like someone saying, hey, can you go and create the basis of design for us based on your stuff or whatever? And you're like, no, I'm sorry. I've got to go bid these jobs. I don't have time to focus on being intimately involved in your business. It's like, seriously, folks. Wow. But people don't think through this whole value ladder concept of where they can serve. I mean, let's be honest. When is the last time you went on a whiteboard and you mapped out your customer journey? I know this seems like woo stuff, but as a technician, how can you provide a value ladder to your manager? Think about that, really. These techs who are like, man, I've been a tech for 4 years and I'm still a tech and I can't move up, blah, blah, blah. How many times have you actually looked at what generates profit in your business that you're employed at and thought through, okay, well, I need to do more of the things that provide profit to my business. And I guarantee you the things that provide profit to the business you're currently employed at probably provide profit to other businesses. And if you get really good at them, guess what? That means that you're going to have job security no matter where you go. The same with selling professionals. How many times have you really mapped out your account? I know you're busy. You got all these jobs you got to bid, but you still have time to go home and relax and, do whatever it is you do. Take 30 minutes. Take 30 minutes every day for a couple weeks and go through the accounts that you have relationships with and map out how you can better serve them. Or here's a really cool thing that you can do, and we've used this extensively, is to ask people how you can better serve them. I know it's a novel idea. You go to your customers and you say, what could we provide that you would buy or that would better benefit you? and ask them and create it. So that brings us to kind of highlight number 3, which is realize what is simple to you is not to others. This has been a huge learning curve for me because I'm very cerebral. I'm someone who is very black and white, thinks very deeply, and can kind of disappear at times into my own thoughts. And it's something I've constantly challenged myself on. And I don't think I'll ever be good enough to where I want to be with this. And that's good that I think that, because this is something that as a selling professional, as a technician, as an engineer, you have to realize that is what is simple and obvious to you is not necessarily simple and obvious to other people. I realized this the other day. I created one course that I should have created first, which was Building Automation Fundamentals. And if I'm completely honest with you, I had a lot of trouble selling that course because it seemed so freaking simple to me. I was like, really? I'm teaching people fundamentals of building. I have gotten more feedback and more aha moments and more comments from folks being like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize this. Oh, wow, the way you explained that, I never knew how PID loops worked. Things like that. And I thought that stuff was like basic, and that's not a dig on the students at all. That's a dig on me as an instructor going and thinking, man, this stuff is basic and it's being covered and I don't need to focus on it. But that's not the case, So what I've realized and what you need to realize is that what is simple to you is not simple to others. So when you go and you think, oh, I'm just providing this service, or, oh, they obviously know that this retrofit happened, or it's obvious that they're running that wrong. And of course they know that. That's not necessarily true. You need to challenge yourself on that, because in those simple areas, in those areas where it seems like stuff is just so obvious, that is where some of the greatest benefit that you can provide. Now, how do you do that? How do you know what is simple to others and not necessarily, or what is simple to you and not necessarily simple to others? How do you know what things your customer values? How do you nurture existing customers? Well, you do that through feedback loops. And this is something that was set up very early in my business, and it has helped a ton. And it's, taking feedback loops, going and asking questions purposely in LinkedIn to go and understand what folks are thinking. And more importantly, what folks aren't mentioning. Doing that, creating surveys at the end of every course, doing our semi-annual survey to our subscriber list, going and creating questions in the podcast episodes. All of these are feedback loops that provide information that tells me where the market is moving. It tells me what people are being challenged by, what people aren't being challenged by, and it tells me where we can provide the most value. How many of you do feedback loops? How many of you survey your customer base? How many of you seek feedback from your managers to understand how you're performing as a technician? How many of you go and look at the effectiveness of your design if you're a consultant and you look at how the building was executed, and was your design potentially part of the building getting executed well or not well? These are all feedback loops that you can seek. Which brings us to number 5, which is embracing outside opinions. This is something I see a lot of folks really struggle with. It seems like everyone wants praise, but when it comes to constructive criticism or just straight up stuff where people are saying, hey, you suck, it's something a lot of folks struggle with, and they don't want to embrace it. Just because you take negative or constructive feedback from people does not necessarily mean you need to act on that feedback. There's been a lot of quote opinions that I've received that I haven't acted on. Then there's been plenty of opinions that I've received that I should have acted on. The trick is getting able to step outside yourself and separate yourself from your perceived role, whether that's in sales, technician, management, etc., and to accept that information. So, as I mentioned, the 5 highlights that I've received this year that I just know from experience are going to benefit you is nurture your existing customers. think through your value ladder and how you can provide value. Realize that what is simple to you is not necessarily simple to others. Create some feedback loops and embrace outside opinions. Now, based on this, we've seen some incredible results. We've got 3,892 customers, if I remember correctly, since October 2017. We've created 8 courses, 140 plus podcasts, done several consulting engagements where most recently we're creating a BAS standard for a very well-known organization, and we're working through that right now. That's going to be pretty cool. So what are we going to be doing to invest? And more specifically, what am I going to be doing to invest in myself in this coming year? Well, a couple things I'm personally going to be doing is looking at attending the Niagara 4 Basic and Advanced certification. I feel that for our operator course, since Niagara seems to have so much market share, that it would be beneficial for me to do brush up on N4 since all my experience is with the AX platform. And so I'm going to be investing in that. Be investing in a Pluralsight subscription, specifically because I want to get a little tighter on some of the cloud architecture, whereas I believe based on what some of the companies are doing and what they're announcing, we're going to see a lot of BAS components move towards the cloud and move towards a distributed kind of technology architecture. So Pluralsight is a really good place to get some of that more advanced IT training. I'm going to look at some online teaching certifications just to become a better instructor at online. I'm already pretty good, but I want to become better. And then I'm going to look into NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Basically, it's how to put thoughts into people's heads. I feel actually kind of awkward admitting that to you all, but the reason behind that is so much of my role as an instructor is to ensure that the students apply the knowledge. And I feel like that approach could really help me to continue to put the information inside the student's head so that way they kind of take in the information and they really can act on it. We've seen great retention and a lot of great feedback and success stories, but I'm never satisfied. I think we can always be doing better. So what's in store for year 2? Well, there's definitely going to be more courses. We just wrapped up the beta the beta enrollment for our scoping and estimating course. That's going to be absolutely awesome. We're going to go from start to finish creating a scope and estimate for a project based on project documents. From there, we're going to move into a project management fundamentals course, aiming for kind of early 2019. Then we're going to do a BAS operator, that's a fundamentals course, BAS troubleshooting fundamentals course, and then a system integration fundamentals course. I really got to get rid of the name fundamentals from our courses because our courses are not just fundamentals. I think that that's a mental block for some folks. They read fundamentals and they think, I've been doing it so many years, but then we have 10, 20-year veterans that go through our courses and they're like, holy crap, I never knew this stuff. So I really got to rethink this fundamentals word because I think it's a mental block for a lot of folks. Guest podcasts, that's something I'm really going to step up. A lot of feedback from folks. I was with a student the other day on our call, and he said, hey, Phil, you really light up when you do guest interviews. And if I'm honest with you, I haven't done a lot of those because they're just a pain in the butt to set up. So I'm going to be doing a lot more guest podcast interviews, kind of looking at the topics that no one's talking about, but you really should understand. And I'm going to focus in on those topics and make sure that we have more of those. That'll be starting in 2019. So my question to you is, who do you think should be a guest on the podcast? Let me know in the comment section, and you can find that at buildingautomationmonthly.com/140. We're going to be doing much more speaking. I got tremendous results from the Honeywell Momentum Conference. It was standing room only for all 4 sessions where we were speaking, and realized that people are really hungry for the topics we're speaking about. So I'm going to be looking into how do I get a speaking slot at Haystack and IBCon. I think those would be 2 conferences that would be good for me to speak at. Unfortunately, I was asked to do the BAS 101 at AHR in 2019 in Atlanta because it was standing room only. Last year, I mean, they had to turn people away. Talk about an ego stroke. That felt pretty good. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I'll be on a cruise, so I won't be able to do that in January. But Haystack in San Diego and IBCon, I'm going to be looking at getting speaking slots at those. If there's a conference you all think I should be speaking at, I'd be very interested in hearing from you once again in the comment section. Also looking at doing some live in-person classes. So looking at doing both a technical class, I'm going to call it the BAS Bootcamp, and a sales class called the BAS Sales Bootcamp. And we'll be doing those here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and be looking at probably doing maybe 2 of those. And those would be several day classes where you come out here and we get hands-on and we really dive into BAS and we dive into sales, depending on which course track you take. I might add a third, which would be systems integration, which is kind of near and dear to my heart and something I'm pretty damn good at, but I'm not sure on that. We're also going to put a greater focus on consulting. This is something I really like doing, and I'm really, really good at it, especially with my depth of expertise. I mean, every consulting client we've had has said, oh my gosh, you've delivered immense value in the first call. So how do I do more of that, especially with everything else that's going to be on the plate, is something I've got to think about. Maybe that looks at folks coming out here to Milwaukee, and that's how I support that. And then finally, the online conference that I've talked about so many times. I'm getting closer and closer to actually putting that together. That's something I'm super excited about, and I think it'll be a game changer for our industry. So that is it for the recap on Building Automation Monthly. For those of you who have been here since the beginning, since episode 140, or episode 1 to episode 140, I can't thank you all enough. I mean, the fact that you all, my customers, my podcast listeners, LinkedIn subscribers, Facebook groups, that you all have been here and engaged. I mean, you are the reason that Building Automation Monthly has been successful and will continue to be successful. It is such an honor to be able to serve you all and to provide training and to help people grow in their careers. I mean, getting emails about how folks are finally getting hired, folks are getting promoted, they've won sales, they're going and growing their region like never before. I mean, it is just absolutely just humbling to be able to be engaged in that. I thank each and every one of you and really look forward to the next year serving you and being able to be engaged with you. So for next week's episode, we are going to be going and diving through analytics and BAS business. And basically what we're going to look at, something I've got a lot of comments about and questions about, is how do you integrate analytics into your business? How do you use it as an add-on service to your customers? So we're going to talk through what analytics are. We're going to talk about how we use them in a business. We're going to talk about different ways to make profit about them and to grow your business. So with all that being said, thanks so much for being here. This is episode 140, and you can find anything I mentioned here at buildingautomationmonthly.com/140. If you haven't checked out our courses, really encourage you to do that. There will be a link at the bottom of the episode page to go and check out our course library. I encourage you to check out our courses. They are a game changer for those of you who are looking to grow your careers. Thanks so much for being here. Can't wait to talk to you in episode 141. Take care.